what is a human being? I've designed the bread test to find out. And the bread test is to know the difference between a human being and a loaf of bread. Most people probably say that this is very obvious. Everybody knows the difference between a loaf of bread and a human being, but I'm not so sure when we investigate it a little bit more detailed. So the thing is that let's start by defining what is a human being and what is a loaf of bread. So let's start with the bread. Okay. So the bread is an object. That means that it has a beginning, duration, and an end. It has location in time and space. So the bread has its beginning when the baker, he put some flours together and water and put the bread in the oven, and out comes a nice, delicious bread. So the thing is, what we can do with the bread, you can cut it in two, and you will have two half breads. You can also cut it into slices, and then it will still retain its essence as bread. Also, you can own the bread. You can buy it, and you can do with the bread what you want. You can give it to the birds, or you can eat it. Right. So this is the bread. So the object has a location. It has extension. That it has a limits and ends. Right. And so it's very concrete. It's very obvious. You can define it. It has a beginning and it's an end. So that is an object. Also, you cannot hold the bread responsible in case it doesn't taste so well as you expected. You cannot hold the bread responsible. You will then have to talk to the baker and hold him responsible for making the bad bread in such case. Also, okay, you can own the bread. You can do with the bread what you want. That is an object. Okay, location in time and space. So what about a human being? Can you cut a human being in half and then you get two humans? No, you don't. And a human being can miss both arms and legs. It will still be a whole person. It will still be a whole human being. So here is an essential difference. So when we look at it from this perspective, it is not the body that makes us who we are. It is not the body that constitutes a human being. So what is it? It is that the thing is that the human being is a subject. Oh, that means that I'm something genuine. I'm existence. I am consciousness. That is what constitutes a human being. And then when it starts to get interesting is then when you start to ask, well, where is the subject? Is it in the brain somewhere? The problem is that the subject is nowhere to be found because the subject does not have a location. It's like looking for the speaker woman inside the TV to see if she's there. She's not. So consciousness is that when you are looking into the eyes of a human being, there is someone there. There is a presence. There is awareness. There is consciousness. That is who I am. Okay. And so the thing is that when you investigate the subject, it does not have a location in time and space. It doesn't even have a beginning. So that's kind of strange because you would say that, okay, my beginning was when I was born. But the thing is that I was born, that's just a concept. That's just something they told you that I was born. But the thing is that I was never born. The subject was never born. The subject has no beginning and has no end. Because subject is the equivalence of existence. And what is existence? Existence is that I know that I am. I am. And nobody doubts that. Do you exist? Yes, I do. I cannot deny that I exist. There is no such thing as non-existence. So the thing is that the subject, awareness, consciousness, has always been there, and it's like space. It permeates everything. It has no beginning. It has no end, and that is who I am. Okay. So, and there is only one subject. There is only one subject. It seems like there are many that I am separate from another person and so on, but that's because I do the mistake of believing that I am the body. And then you get it mixed together. You get the subject and the object mixed together. That's the big problem. That is called ignorance of not knowing who I am. So when you understand this, you understand that I am the subject. I am awareness. I am consciousness. I have no beginning. There is no separation. That means that I am everything. Okay. Or the other way around. It starts actually by finding out that I'm nothing. Because I have to investigate. See, am I the body? No, I'm not the body, because the body is an object. Am I my thoughts and feelings? That's more tricky. Am I my thoughts? What is a thought? A thought is an object. It has a beginning, duration, and an end. A thought is subtle electromagnetic or chemical reactions in the brain. That is a thought. It is actually a physical object, a subtle physical object. So as also emotions, feelings, and so on, that are also object. So the subject is everything but the object. So take away all the objects, and all that is left is the subject, which is me. So the subject cannot be observed. You cannot turn the subject into an object. Okay. And that means that consciousness cannot be observed. You cannot say, okay, there is consciousness, because you use consciousness in order to observe consciousness. It's like an eye trying to see itself without a mirror. It's impossible. So consciousness can only be itself. Okay? So the thing is that you start out finding out, I'm nothing. Okay? Because you exclude everything. I am not this. I'm not my body. I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my feelings. I'm not my memories. I'm not my personality. I'm not my star sign, so on, so on, so. When you exclude all this, all there is left is that I'm nothing. And being nothing means the same as also I'm everything. So you could say, from the point of wisdom, I'm nothing, but the point of love, I'm everything. So this is a thing to reflect on. Reflect on what is the difference between the subject and the object, and realize that a human being, what makes us into a human being, is our consciousness, our awareness that I am. That is the essence. So the thing is that most people get it confused. We mix the object with the subject, and that is called basic ignorance. The thing is that we're locked into dualism because we identify with being this perfect, this body, okay? This person with a personality, age, a place to live, and so on. And liberation is to get rid of that idea, get rid of those imaginations that we have about ourselves. Okay. So that is called liberation, self-realization, and so on. And the challenge is to climb out of that imagination, climb out of the illusion, and wake up to our true nature. So the thing is that most people have a bred consciousness, that they think they are an object, that I think I am the body, that I am my thoughts and my feelings, and so on. And that's wrong view. Okay. So it's like light bulbs. There are thousands and thousands of light bulbs. But there is only one electricity that makes all the light bulbs shine. So the subject is the electricity, and all the objects is the different light bulbs. But most people have an identification of being a light bulb. Look at me, how much I'm shining, and so on. So, but the thing is that the light is consciousness. That's what makes me shine. That my awareness, my presence, my being, my existence, that's what makes me shine. But due to my ignorance, I identify with being this specific light bulb. And when the light bulb goes out, you just change it with another. No big deal. Nothing happens to the electricity. So all liberation is just to shift your identity from light bulb consciousness or bred consciousness to being the electricity, to being the awareness the consciousness that shines by itself. That's the only challenge. Very, very much easier said than done. And so far, this is only an intellectual understanding, which is better than nothing. And I must admit, I'm working on it. And this is just an invitation to start with this this self-reflection of what is the difference between a loaf of bread and a human being, to understand who I am. That is the ultimate question and the ultimate challenge, to free ourselves from the ignorance, from the illusion that causes all the troubles, because we misunderstand who I am with the apparent reality. So there is some homework to do, and I'm working on it. So that's it.